Despite popular belief, Radiant and professional players like Asuna didn't come out of the womb with their godlike mechanics. They've been playing TAC FPSs for a long time, but throughout the years, people do develop through levels of skill. They start out as a newbie, then get a bit better and become a novice, keep polishing their skills, and become a master. Then those who really push themselves further than anyone else become a pro. And then there's, Asuna, who's on a whole nother planet. So today, we'll be looking through subscriber-submitted VODs, talk about your movement and how you can improve and hit that professional level. As the video progresses, we'll look at more and more high-level movement skills and eventually break down Asuna's mechanics. So let's get started. Now, before we go watch some pros, we need to focus on our fundamentals. Like the old saying goes, you need to learn how to crawl before you can walk, and walk before you can run. So stick with us, we'll get there. But before we go any further, I just want to tell you guys that there's nothing wrong with being a newbie. All that means is that you're either newer at the game or haven't had someone really point you in the right direction. So let's look at some of these beginner level clips. In this clip from a viewer named Cyborg, you can tell that he's making himself an easy target for enemies holding defender spawn. Let me explain. The major problem about this clip is that he holds W way too much. Here, I'm going to play these two clips side by side and you tell me who's harder to hit.
Revealing area. Find them.
Spike planted.
Shotgun.
Example number 2 is the right way you should be moving around the map. The problem with holding W in this game is that it makes you a ton easier to hit. You want yourself to be as hard to hit as possible, and by strafing around with your A and D keys, you're moving much faster than if you use your W key. So if you're ever retaking A on Haven, you should make sure you're coming out of defender spawn like this. Swing default, then short, put your back up against the wall so that you can clear ammo, then graffiti, and then get ready to swing hell. This is the most efficient way to clear sight on a retake. Granted, you won't have this much time all the time, and you'll have to go much faster. But in a slower paced or clutch situation, this is what it should look like. This pathing that I showed you also gives you the most amount of angle advantage. We have a ton of guides covering this, but this means whoever's the furthest away from an angle between you and your enemy will see the other first. And just a quick side note about our Sova, don't pull out your utility unless you're completely safe. If you do this and someone is holding you, you're dead. Do it from somewhere safer. For our next beginner clip, we'll be looking at an Omen on Garage with a similar problem in the first clip. Watch how he clears Garage. If anyone is actually looking at any of these angles, he's dead 100% of the time. If you want to properly clear Garage, it should look something like this. Like I mentioned previously, you want to make sure that you're holding A and D when clearing angles, not W. But if you're in a situation where you're trying to take space without utility, you need to know how to properly clear your angles. The issue with how Omen's clearing Garage is that he's way too slow, and he doesn't even clear every angle. And no, I don't mean you should just sprint through Garage and running on everyone in there, but you can clear angles quickly and quietly by holding down your A and D key for a brief period of time. With proper crosshair placement and good movement like this, anyone who's in Garage should have a hard time hitting you. Again, which of these is harder to hit? Example number 1 or example number 2? Example number 2 was me using that trick that I just showed you and is obviously much better. So if you go back and watch any of your gameplay and you notice that you look like our Omen or Sova, you should hop into a custom game or a deathmatch and try these things out. And speaking of abusing A and D, you want to make sure that you're able to counter strafe effectively. By taking a step or two left or right, you want to press the opposite directional key so that the cancellation in momentum makes you 100% accurate. Or you could just let go of the keys altogether. But you need to practice clearing your corners. Practice silently swinging things and your counter strafes. I know it can be boring, but drills like these are important to your improvement as a player and you ranking up from these lower elos. And by the way, if you haven't figured it out yet, the quickest way to improve it at this game is by VOD reviewing, but not by yourself. You want someone there to guide you and put you on that right path. We at Skillcapped VOD review our subscribers and provide them with the resources to rank up quicker than other people at their skill level. As a matter of fact, we're so confident in ourselves that we offer a money-back guarantee if you don't rank up while using our service. This is a risk-free opportunity. So stop wasting time and head over to Skillcapped. I'll be waiting. So now that you got the basic fundamentals down, it's important to understand there are other things that can impact your movement that aren't necessarily the keys you're pressing. Things like your minimap are vital to you not looking like a rookie. For example, take a look at this clip from this coaching session on our website. Our Radiant coach goes more in depth later with his notes, but from this clip, you could tell that our Ascendant Brimstone was completely unaware that his smoke was fading on Catwalk and that an enemy could be there. Now, before you head to the comments telling me, but Teets, his teammates weren't holding catwalk. How is this his fault? Well, little Jimmy, this isn't how you get better at this game. If you go around blaming your teammates all the time, you will not improve. Our Brimstone needs to recognize that his smoke is fading, glance at his minimap, and actually give himself a chance in this fight. He needs to decide which angle he wants to fight, B main or mid, as each have their own way of fighting it efficiently. But by doing what our Brimstone did, he swung out in the middle of the open and exposed himself to both at the same time, never giving himself a chance in the fight. And when it comes to movement, sometimes it doesn't even matter how you move, if your spacing isn't right. A big part in mastering movement is how you're moving with your team. In this coaching session, I explained to my student everything that I told you before in this video, and she was destroying these idiots. Her movement looked really good, especially for a platinum player. But in this round, it doesn't matter how well she's clearing angles if her and her Omen are lining up to get killed like this. Again, you might chalk this up to luck, but you need to be mindful of your teammates and how spaced out everyone is. In my games, I've purposely slowed down or sped up depending on my teammates' pacing. Or in this Ascendant VOD review, look at how our Viper is just too far back from her teammates. Our Yoru in this clip is running in and making space for his team, but his team has decided to send 3 people up cave. If Viper's toxic screen is up, that means that the execute should be happening. But because all of Viper's teammates decided to scale up cave, it's up to her to trade her Yoru. After she lays her wall down, her knife needs to come out and she needs to chase her Yoru down. Let's replay the clip and just imagine that Viper was right behind Yoru, ready to trade him. Our Viper trades out our Yoru and is able to make the space and take sight for her team. Even though Viper is technically supposed to hang back and stay alive for the post plant, it's important that you recognize what your teammates are lacking so that you can fill that gap and carry. Alright, so now with those clips out of the way, we're going to move on to the more advanced clips. Advanced players range anywhere from Immortal to Radiant level players. Here, your movement should be more refined, so you don't really need to think about it anymore. Then you can focus more on your game plans, utility usage, and other aspects of your game. In this Immortal Smurf commentary from our website, the way I play this round is almost perfect. Watch and listen. So I know that they have to be somewhere in this area. Plus I knife, so she can't use her knives once again. So I swing with my Reyna. I try to like come this way to swing with my Reyna. Now, we're playing against a chamber op, so we have to be very careful in how we're playing against this, right? We have a bunch of flashes. She has 2 flashes. I have a flash. I have a molly. I don't have my knife for a while, so we have to, that's out of the equation. We have to be very careful with how we're going to peek this guy. So I flash. We swing with my flash. I think Chamber tried to like dodge it maybe, but he just came from yellow. He's swinging out. He swings my Reyna. He whiffs. I pull out my molly, so that hoping that if he repeaks, my Reyna can kill him. And if he doesn't, my molly's here to give him some damage, and maybe I can follow up off it and kill him. But because I got the molly off and he didn't repeak, I know that for a fact that we're about to go tap the spike. He needs to peek from this left side in order to kill us, to like stop us, right? So you saw me wait for a second to see if he was gonna go for the repeak. He didn't. I immediately knew he was gonna reposition to this side. And I swing and I pre-fire him because I know that he has to peek close because I'm an op. So I'm an Immortal 3/Radiant level player, and I've refined my movement to a point where it just comes naturally to me. Here's another clip from one of my ranked games.
I can't miss.
What's your break?
Yep.
Oh!
I'm in a 1v3, and you know how it goes. If you're down in numbers, you need to isolate your 1v1s. I jumped out of Dish and strafed far to the left. I did this knowing that Jett and Killjoy were both towards sand, and by giving them a small window to shoot me from, I figured I could try and abuse their spacing and isolate my duels. I kill the Killjoy, and Jett tries to buy time for her Fade to rotate. I hold my A key, stop on a dime, kill her, and pull myself back so that the Fade can't peek me from spawn. I kill the Prowler, and then decide to pull out my Headhunter, because I wasn't sure if the recoil had reset yet on my Phantom, and I land the 1-tap. And notice how throughout the entire clip, my movement is crisp and confident. As I mentioned, I'm so confident in my own movement that I don't even think about it when I play, so that I can pull off clips like these. This is what advanced or master movement looks like. Now, for the moment you've all been waiting for. If you refine your movement to the highest skill ceiling they could possibly hit, then you too can pull off plays like Asuna. So you know how I mentioned earlier how you want to abuse your A and D keys as they make you harder to shoot, especially when you're counter strafing. Now, this is what counter strafing looks like when done at a professional level. Asuna is literally dancing around these guys. This looks like a cartoon. Yeah, they're whiffing, but do you think if he doesn't counter strafe like this, that they whiff like that? There's just no way. Asuna has insane movement that allows him to seem invincible like this. And you know how I mentioned how you should worry about your pathing as well? Now, if I haven't convinced you that Asuna doesn't have some of the nastiest movement in the world, then maybe this last clip can help that out. So Asuna's teammates are calling that there's a lot of people on the flank. He's in a clutch, he needs to isolate and win his ones. So he swings left with the Sova, stops, kills the Fade. He then jiggle peeks the right side for information and notices Jett there. He then lobs his pain shells, trying to get the Jett to swing out, and he pre-fires her. Now, since he hasn't seen Raze yet, she has to be trading him from somewhere. So he then pre-fires the left side. This entire clip was done behind this little box from backside. He never overextended, made use of his counter strafes, and pulled off one of the sickest clips I've seen in a long time. So if you haven't figured it out by now, Asuna has the best movement in the game. There are many levels to mastering movement, but once you get the fundamentals down, you'll start seeing yourself improve much quicker. And then who knows, maybe you'll see yourself hitting a lot more clips like these. But to get to this point, you need to put in the time and practice, VOD review, and really grind those drills. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel down below. It really does help us out. But before you go, keep in mind that this is all just one of many in-depth guides that we have on our website. Also, if you want a chance at having a more extended VOD review, longer than the clips you saw above, be sure to subscribe on our website at skillcap.com. We also have tons of Radiant Smurf commentaries where you have Radiant players walking through exactly how to have the most impact possible in a bunch of different situations. This is all backed by your rank improvement guarantee, and the reason to do this is because you're just that confident that our service works. And if it doesn't work, then you shouldn't pay. So what are you waiting for? You got nothing to lose. Head on over to skillcap.com and get started on your way to that rank that you deserve. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening, guys. I'm Teets, and we here at Skillcap want to thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.